And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 121st episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Matty Allen with Tobiwan Hexobi. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Just the two of us.
Yeah.
We can make it if we try. Yeah. So Briz is out. Crispy must be traveling the globe again. So
Crispy's on vacation, and we wish him a wonderful time with his family.
But didn't he just get back from a vacation? Or I think the first one was kind of a work thing. Kind of.
So it's summer, yeah.
And then this is like a family.
He's living
thing,
his
so
life. Fire. You know what FIRE stands for, right?
Financial independence, retire early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what retired people do, is they go on vacations.
I will be going on vacation soon myself, so I'm dealing with that thing that I think everyone can relate to, where you feel like you want to murder everybody around you in the days leading up to your vacation, because like everything's like going into a bottleneck. I mean, maybe it's just me, but it's like I've shared this sentiment with other people, and they've commiserated that they also have felt this way. But it just seems like anytime I'm getting ready to go on a trip, and this, I'm like way overdue for like a proper vacation. It's been a very stressful year, not just crypto related, but with my family stuff and whatever. And thankfully everybody's doing great, and now I've got like a chance to get away for a few days, and I'm taking advantage of that. But it's like, but there's this bottleneck of pressure, it seems like, until you get on the plane or in the car and you're actually going to do the trip, that you can find, or for me anyhow, where I can finally like take a deep breath. So I actually, audience, I tried to cancel on Maddie, and it's like, and then he was like, oh man, he was like, Briz and Crispy are already out. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm like, I'll suck it up. It's like, we can do this. So, and I always feel better when I come on here, no matter what's going on in my real world. It's always fun to be on Game Theory Gang, even if it's just the two of us, and the chat, which is always awesome.
Yeah, so, that's the rest of the gang, is all 52 people watching now. Yeah. Couple thousand on the replay. Not bad.
Yep. And then I was poking around. I think part of like the anxiety, I mean, probably globally, is just, what happened with Trump on Saturday. It's like, so I mean, it was funny. I was talking to my fiance about it, and, she's 19 years younger than me. So she was 10 when 9/11 happened. She wasn't around, obviously, when Reagan was shot. I remember that, vividly. And remember my parents recounting stories of Kennedy being assassinated. So it's like, all of those things, plus what the downstream effects of it would be had that been a successful assassination attempt, hit me heavy. Like, as soon as I saw, him reach for his ear and realize, what was happening, it's like I welled up. Like, I almost started crying. It was just, I mean, it was so overwhelming for me. And, so I think just the flood of news coverage over all of that, just the emotional roller coaster of it. Cause thank God that, no one was, that he wasn't killed.
It was so close.
It's so close.
It was so close.
Dude, you can't, I mean, and plus it's like, I think that was a 5.56 round. That's like pretty much the size of a 9mm handgun bullet in diameter. If it was a 5.56, but, yeah, I mean, it would have not been good. I mean, we saw the Zapruder film, and that was like grainy black and white footage from the 60s. It would have been in high definition. It would have scarred everybody. You know what I mean? It would have been a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Not to mention, what effects it would have had on the country and the world. So the anxiety around all that certainly probably has contributed to me feeling like a little bit of a basket case over the last few days. But
understandable.
But I watched a good portion of the RNC last night for the first time in decades, probably. Like I'd always watched like clips of it, but I actually watched like most of it, where like they're doing the roll call of the states to get the nominee, official and all that. And even when Trump was walking out, I thought it was pretty emotional. Like, I mean, just the look on his face, it's like, I'm really, really anticipating like an incredible speech when he finally gives a speech. That I think it's the last night of the convention. And then Maddie, you're going to be able to see him, right, in Tennessee for the Bitcoin thing. He's still doing that, I guess.
Donald Trump, he has confirmed that he will still be attending the Bitcoin conference, which I'll be going to with Big Kurkowski and Fashion Coder and many others from within and outside of the Hex community.
Sweet.
I'm actually going to be staying with a huge group of friends that I made at the Ethereum conference, and none of them are in Hex and Pulse Chain, but they're very curious, and
Cool.
really excited to get together with all these crypto people. And part of my mission at the conference is going to be to get the reputation out and get more stuff happening when it comes to new whales, ideally getting into Hex and Pulse Chain. And yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff that came out of the Ethereum conference in terms of networking I was able to do. And in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks, I'll have a physical Pulse Chain onboarding product ready for people to click and buy on Amazon. So I'm really excited about that.
Cool. Some good stuff. And then, not to bury the lead, of course, it's like I was doing.
Oh yeah.
I sometimes I feel like on Tuesday nights I have like weird flashbacks to like my college and high school days where it's like I'm ill prepared for class, so I rush to try to like cram information in prior to. So I was on Twitter a little bit today, but I didn't really see what was the kerfuffle around the Maddie token until pretty much right before the stream. And then I saw Sami's post, and then like a bunch of vitriol kind of getting spewed your way after your post, which it was a long one. I get it. I'm a long poster too, and that's not the format for everyone to like read a long post and really maintain their attention long enough to really understand what's being said. People want smaller bites so they can make quick snap judgments of things, which is terrible in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, but me reading over it, I mean, I didn't even read it twice, just reading it once, it seemed pretty clear to me what was going on. And then I made a reply to Sami. I'd encourage people to kind of check out my reply.
Yeah.
I just dropped in.
Yeah. So I made a post 3 days ago, and then the shit hit the fan today. And, I was very transparent in my post, and that's something you don't get from everybody. And so I feel really good about that. But the blowback has been super intense. And so continue.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, from my understanding of it, because the thing is that just like I said in my reply to Sami, is like, Maddie and I are real life friends. We've hung out in real life and done things together. We talk on the phone. It's like, this is not just like TV buddies. It's like I consider Maddie a good friend of mine. And even I do not have inside knowledge of like, what the intentions are for this particular project. He spitballed a few ideas at me. I don't know if any of the ideas that he ran by me early on even ended up being in the final iteration. It was just him brainstorming and trying to come up with like a good plan for what he wanted to do. And then he hunkered down, and he and probably his dev came up with the idea of how they're doing it, right? And just like with RH and the sacrifices, I mean, and the Howey test, right? It's like it should be really, really, really obvious to this community in particular why someone who is accepting a sacrifice for something, or even if they're, and although Maddie didn't create the token, if someone was founder of a token, why they would be very, very, very selective with their language.
You just hit the daily double video.
What daily double? Do I win
something? Are you ready?
Oh,
well, we have a special guest. Oh, who is this?
What?
It's the third member of our gang for tonight, JD Vance.
From the great state of Ohio?
A presidential vice presidential candidate. What?
If there's a candidate for worst person, in my view, at least in terms of my substantive disagreements, I'm sure he's like a nice guy, is Gary Gensler. Okay, so Gary Gensler is sort of the complete opposite of my view. And there are two problems that I have with Gary. One of which is that I think he wants to inject politics way too much into the actual business of securities in the United States of America. But in some ways, the more fundamental issue, or at least the most relevant issue for this particular conference is the approach that Gary has taken to regulating blockchain and crypto seems to be almost the exact opposite of what it should be. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but the question the SEC seems to ask in regulating crypto is this a token with utility? And if it's a token with utility, then they seem to want to ban it. And if it's a token without utility, they don't seem to care. I almost think we should be the opposite here, right? I worry about financialization. I worry about, frankly, whether a lot of the crypto stuff is fundamentally fake. But if a token actually has utility, that's the sort of thing that, you know, by all means, regulate it. By all means, be careful about, you know, how consumers interact with it. But you don't want to just get rid of this stuff. And here's where I really, really worry about this is a lot of the newest challengers to social media, the social media incumbents of 2024 are going to require some blockchain technology to make their business work. Maybe they'll require a token that supports verification. There are all of these ways in which the companies, when I talk to sort of friends who are still in the VC industry, the companies that are most exciting to them, they're doing actual things in communications in the 21st century, in 2024, I should say. Those companies very often rely on high utility tokens to do things like verification. Well, if we're not making it possible to do verification, then we're going to make it really hard to challenge the existing incumbents in the space.
Yeah. So like there you go, straight from the VP candidate's mouth.
The future vice president of the United States of America.
That's right.
Right there. Yeah, it's an interesting choice too. I mean, not only obviously, you know, I love that he's pro crypto and anti Gensler, and you know,
he holds 6 Bitcoin.
But yeah, and it's, well, and the thing is too, I wonder if he'll come with. Well, I don't think they do that, or do they? Would he come to the Bitcoin thing with Trump? I doubt it. Might be too much of a risk to have them both in the same place, same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, they have to keep them separate in case like one gets assassinated. They need somebody to give like the delegate votes to or whatever.
Right. But hopefully none of that kind of stuff will happen, of course. But one of the things I really liked about that choice for VP is how critical JD Vance had been of him early on. And how he, you know, over time, much like I think is kind of happening across the country now, and has, I mean, it's happened in dribs and drabs, I think, for years now. But I think, you know, it was a big spotlight on Trump as a human being, with him, you know, being in that vulnerable position and nearly being killed, right? That people maybe started to take a little closer look, and then also the replies of a lot of what you saw on social media from the left, of people, you know, saying some horrible things, you know, just like wishing that there was a different outcome, let's say. And I think it really gave people pause and made them think about it and rethink, you know, why they have judged Trump the way that they have, and if it's a narrative they've been fed, or if it's true to his character and actually his record as a president, right? So I think it's interesting that he chose Vance, because Vance is a person that actually went through that transformation himself. He was very critical. I mean, he dropped the H word. You know, he was talking about, you know, his similarities to the terrible atrocities that were perpetrated by someone who, it still amazes me that anyone would ever compare Hitler and Trump, because it's like, it's just nuts to me that would be thrown around. And if you think about it, it's like, it's that kind of rhetoric, I think, that got us to the point where there is someone unhinged enough to act on that. Because, you know, what's the old game that, you know, everyone kind of has played in their lives at some point, especially if you're a guy. You know, if you had a chance to kill Hitler, would you do it? Right? Well, of course you would, because he was a monster, and he caused so much horrible pain in the world. It would almost be imperative that you try to do that, right? So to try to paint Trump as that, you're going to have some people that buy it, like literally, and think that there's some sort of moral imperative for them to go rid the earth of this threat, right? So it's
I derailed the conversation when I brought up the Daily Double video, because in particular, he was emphasizing a point that you brought up, which is that, you know, like the regulations are so backwards these days. They're like, you know, you're not allowed to give people expectations about anything. And yeah, so that you were pointing out that makes it difficult for people who are builders to do crypto and to create value. And what that then creates is it creates a place where only meme coins survive, and like that doesn't necessarily make the world a better place, and it doesn't necessarily like do anything except enrich people who are like extremely short-term traders. So
Absolutely. Yep.
but you were making some like incredible points before we started the stream, and maybe you could read some of what you had what you had
it's
posted.
like let's see, where did I put it here? Because I had a number of people actually DMing me and like, what the hell, man, Maddie rugged. It's like, what? And
I think the term rug pull gets thrown around so much it almost has become meaningless. And
I think I nailed it with my response to to a longtime viewer and a friend of the show, as we say, and he was concerned about it because he, from Sami's post, it made it look bad and it made him feel, some kind of way about it. So my response to him was like, think about it and then read what I'm going to post under Sami's tweet, and then in my private reply to this viewer and fellow Hexagon, I said rug equals pulling LP and then dumping for stables and exiting through a centralized exchange. That's how they typically catch scammers, is the KYC at that final step, because most centralized exchanges, you have to do KYC. So that's how they can tie it to a person typically. If Sami is going to call this a rug, then he might as well tell everyone that every time RH pulled liquidity from EHEX back in the day to be able to pump it easier and discourage dumping, a rug, right? Makes sense? So, and also the money that was in the LP to begin with, and just bear in mind, for those that maybe don't know this already, I've said it before, I said it in my reply to Sami, I don't have any skin in the game, I don't have any inside knowledge, I'm doing this as though I was assessing any other situation. I'm looking at the facts as I know them, the information that's out there as I know it, the circumstances as I know it, and giving my evaluation. That's it, right? So
it's game theory.
Yeah, it's game theory, right? And it's like, and Maddie can, if he wants to confirm or deny, he's welcome to do that. But I'm guessing he will do neither because of the aforementioned things about the Howey test and no expectations and all those things, right? So I was speculating. I said the money that was in the LP to begin with were funds he got from sacrificers. So he's basically using those to try to create more stability and ultimately a long-term pump for the Maddie token. My understanding was that the PLP tokens would be distributed to the sacrifice set in Time Pays Me vaults, but obviously that plan has changed, or has it? The money isn't cashed out and gone. It's simply on the sidelines and or earning yield, just like Sack Daddy. So in my post to Sami, I even said something along the line.
Go ahead.
Let me find it, and I'll just throw that one out there too. Why not? Fuck it. My caffeine is working well enough. Okay, bro, this is my response to Sami. And Sami, all due respect, hopefully you understand the tone better if I read it, maybe. Bro, you seriously think Maddie would quote take the money and run? What the fuck? I get that you were kind of like the TMZ of the RH community at times, which can be fun, but it should be painfully obvious that as the person that held the sacrifice, much like RH, he needs to be very careful with the language he uses. Maybe a more fair post and one less likely to fuel the vitriol of those that are quick to judge and cast aspersions would be to say something like the following. Reading between the lines of Maddie's post and what we all know of him as a member of the community with the utmost integrity, it appears he has lowered the liquidity to be more in line with the typical LP to market cap ratio while simultaneously rotating those funds into yield farming to likely redeploy those gains to the sacrifice set, much like we have speculated Sack Daddy is doing by investing in ETH and getting yield elsewhere to likely inject those gains into RH Core tokens. This is my assessment after a quick skim of his post. I have no skin in the game, nor do I have any inside knowledge, but it seems pretty obvious that your postulated negative outcome is unfair at best and defamatory at worst. There are those of us that have spent years earning the respect of this community and even RH himself, and do not take kindly to someone like yourself taking opportunities like these to fuel a narrative you know is hyperbolic for the sake of being hyperbolic. Lastly, it seems to me that maybe Maddie is doing as RH does instead of simply as he says. It could be argued that we all would have been better off to sell our RH assets and rotate into ETH when he made that huge ETH purchase with the SAC funds. So I don't know that I could have gotten any more real than that with my reply to Sami, and then also my DM that I read out just a moment ago. So I mean, that to me seems like a reasonable assumptions to make, right? If you've got someone that's involved in accepting a sacrifice or creating a token, they can't set any expectations. That's one of the legs of the Howey test, right? Expectations of profit from the work of others. So maybe somehow people have just forgotten that. I mean, even though RH beat it into our heads forever what that was, that leg of the test in particular, maybe people have forgotten and just need a little gentle reminder. And maybe that's why Maddie has been so cagey with his language around this thing. And, and it's like, what was it, like 80 grand in liquidity or something? Here's the deal. Maddie has spent, break it down per hour, Maddie. Like if you were going to bounce with $80,000 of sacrifice funds, how much per hour would you have earned? $5 maybe?
Are you kidding me? Dude, it'd be like a penny an hour or something.
Right. So I mean, it's just absurd on its face, and plus it's on the fucking blockchain, right? It's like, I mean, Maddie's my friend, and it's like, I get that, and it's like, but I've had friends in my life that surprised me in bad ways before. I don't think Maddie's gonna end up like that. I really, really don't. But the fact of the matter is what gives me more confidence to be so bold in my defense of my friend here is it's on the blockchain, bitch. It's like it's all right there. It's not fucking rocket science. You can see where it's all going and what's happening with it, and then you can speculate to your heart's content what might occur with those things, right?
Well,
and I'm sure over time it will become more clear.
Another thing we've discovered is that not everybody who reports on the crypto news knows how to read the blockchain. That's dangerous. That's really dangerous if people who are getting a message out to 16,000 people are reading that Maddie token rugged, but no verification has been done on the blockchain. And then, Toby, it gets even more weird when you have people who think they're the next Zach XBT.
Let me add something in there, though. Okay. God bless Sami, but the thing is you got to understand Sami's an entertainer, right? I love Sami. I probably watch more Sami content than anybody. I really do.
I don't hold it against him.
And it's like, and the thing is like, but that's TMZ, right? That's what gets your attention. That's what's going to keep you tuning in because people love to fuel that stuff. What he doesn't, what's frustrating to me is I know Sami's smarter than that, right? And that he has to understand like what kind of damage he could be doing to Maddie's reputation or potentially to investors or.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, there's harm that could be done there. And he tips his hand in saying in that tweet that it appears that the money has been put into PulseX yield farm to earn ink. Well, how would he know that, right? I mean, he must have some modicum of understanding of blockchain
because he's going off he's going off of what other people have posted, and he's not looking on chain. So that's okay.
Finding his sources or whatever, right?
That's okay, and it's not okay at the same time. And what I would recommend anybody who's out there who wants to be better at crypto and wants to be better at the part of crypto that is based on evidence and truth and verifying for yourself, not taking somebody else's word for it, which I think is a really important, like, core defining aspect of what crypto is. You can take my course for free. It's a 10-hour course. You go to pls.gallery, and it takes you to a virtual conference hall, and on the walls, there are like YouTube links that you can click on and pull up this syllabus for the course. And it's free, and it'll teach you how to do chain analysis.
I think what you ought to do, I think you should cross-reference anyone that wants to sign up for your course. If they were jumping to conclusions and quick to light a torch and grab a pitchfork, then they have to pay for your course. Everyone else, it's free.
No,
but
it's free. It's free.
So, hey, will you do me a favor? Because it's like I see still some people popping up in the comments, Goody 213, Maddie, no coin liquidity. So can you, and you covered that in your post, in your lengthy post, can you just break that down a little bit as far as the ratio that you typically see between how much is an LP versus market cap of coins?
Yeah, just before we went live, I made another update to the to the information that everybody knows about Maddie token that anybody could have seen this whole time on chain. And so there's a section here where I wrote down what it takes to be a dolphin or a shark, and then I compared that to the different liquidities. So so the current ratio of LP and circulating supply in Maddie token is just above 3%. And that's with only $2,400 of liquidity at $1.65 per token. And it's estimated that there are 47,301 Maddie tokens circulating for a fully diluted market cap of $78,000. And that's been swinging around lately between $1.29 and $2.20. But yeah, so if we do a ratio of those two things, of the $2,400 of liquidity and the 78K market cap, that basically brings you to a 3% ratio between the LP and circulating supply. And the reason why that's really important, which isn't discussed at length here, is because of Hart's Law. And that's something we've covered, for many episodes on the show, but not everybody's been around for the past 100 and however many. This show's been going 120 weeks, and then we had about a year of shows before that every Tuesday night. And so Hart's Law is basically talking about how things being denominated in something else makes them go up and down in value because they're exchangeable for each other on decentralized exchanges. But then we also get this idea that if you want the price of something to go up and down more easily, then you want to have less liquidity. And if you want it to have less volatility, you want it to have more liquidity. And Maddie token started with a like ultra high amount of liquidity. And that was so that more people could get in at a better deal and that the token wouldn't spike to $1,000 as it has done on the chart before when there was only $10 of liquidity, right? So starting off with $88,000 of liquidity was really important in order to get it so that people weren't FOMO buying $1,000 token and then, it could have dropped back down to $2 or $20 or wherever the market wanted to put it. So yeah, so that's really important to understand that that the amount of liquidity determines like how high something can go and how much you push the price against yourself. And when you push the price against yourself, that's called slippage. And so with the current lowered but not zero amount of liquidity, which is all being provided by the community, you get like a whale position. Remember, to have 1% of the supply is only 473 tokens. You're going to eat 53% slippage if you try to sell that in one market order. Now, if you do a limit order, you're going to do great compared to eating 54% slippage. And that's available. You can find a link to where to do that at my on the post that I made 3 days ago. It's part of it's the Omnis protocol that's part of the 9mm.pro ecosystem of tools.
Omnis.tetra.run, I think.
Yes, thank you.
It's in your post, right? Yep.
And so
you can do limit orders there too, by the way.
Correct. That's what I'm talking about. And so like a shark position, which is 0.1% of the total user controlled circulating supply of Maddie, is only 47 tokens. And so that gives you a 10% slippage now, which is very similar to the amount of slippage you get if you were to market sell a shark position in Hex, which has a 93 billion token circulating supply, which makes a shark position 93 million Hex. That's 9.4% slippage. So, if you want volatility, and if you want it to be so that, you know, people could get in early and now the door has kind of closed behind them and people can't, you know, basically the situation you had before was you had 20,000. This was like 4 days ago. You had 20,000 Maddie tokens still for sale. Now you have far fewer. Now it's like what, 2,400 or something.
Yeah, I think that's what.
No, I'm sorry. It's 1,455 Maddie tokens are sitting there in LP that are for sale on the market. So that just makes it harder for somebody to accumulate like a Poseidon position, which the SolidX whale has, or a whale position. It's a little bit harder. You know, you're pushing the price against yourself 54%. Shark position, you know, people can, that's still kind of accessible even with this 10% slippage. So, you know, basically those are the pros and cons to having having lower liquidity.
Maddie, to kind of rein it in a little bit, because I think part of the reason that, you know, this became the kerfuffle it became is that people get lost in the details, I think, easily.
Yeah.
And they want a simpler narrative so they can say, you know, Orange Man good, Orange Man bad, right? It's like that's right. The thing. They want a quick you know, litmus test so they can say, you know, this guy's a good guy, this guy's a bad guy, and then they can move on down the road and to their next assumption about whatever. It's lazy thinking, but it's common, right? And we all do it to varying degrees in various areas, you know, in varying areas of our lives. So to kind of re-sharpen the point, the thing that I was referring to specifically in the post that Sami had linked of yours, you were talking about other tokens and how that's typically, you know, what was it, like 3 to 5% is the amount that's in LP versus market cap.
So, so that's what Hex is. That's what P Hex is.
Right.
It's 3%.
Yeah. So the thing is that all he did was bring that back in line to what's typical.
Yes.
Also, you know, it's game theory, right? Because
yes.
it's like it's if the liquidity, it's like Richard. Think about it. It's like if the LP is pulled, it hasn't gone anywhere. You can see on the blockchain where it's sitting.
The LP's been reduced, not even pulled. Yeah.
Okay, right. There you go. Right.
It's been reduced to a normal amount.
To a normal amount. But the funds that were in LP, you can see those on the blockchain, like what's up with those. You know, they haven't been I mean, from what I have looked at, they haven't been cashed out. They've not been sent to a centralized exchange. You know, Maddie's not on the run with his whopping, you know, sack that he got. He didn't pull millions of dollars like some of these other projects did that have produced virtually nothing for the people that sacrificed for them. I can attest to that. There are many, not many. There are a few other things beyond RH tokens that I sacked for, and there was only a couple where I got out, you know, break even. You know, so it's which I felt lucky to do. So I mean, he's doing. I mean, he's got a fucking show called Game Theory Gang, for Christ's sake. You know?
Yeah,
it's like he's doing this real time, like with a set of people that agreed to participate through a sacrifice.
Yes.
And now he is utilizing his knowledge that he's gained over time to try to create a viable thing of some sort, is what it seems like. So over time, we will see more detail as to what that is. I've got some ideas of what it could be. You know, some of it draws from like earlier conversations we had, from some ideas he was spitballing. I don't know if those are still in play or not, because Maddie is, okay. I'm going to talk about Maddie for a second like he's not here. All right, everybody. In case you guys all forgot, Maddie got served for the bullshit SEC thing way back when all a bunch of the streamers were getting the SEC letter and saying that they had been paid by Richard or whatever. So Maddie, and then in addition to that, he has put himself on the line to help out with the situation for the amicus brief in the case in South Carolina. If anybody was like more prone to like toe the line of like legality, I couldn't name him. I mean, like the guy has got too much at stake, and he's been too close to that fire to know, you know, how to walk the line. So it's like, so that's why I think this is kind of laughable And I get it, man. It's like we have had a lot of rugs in our communities. In our community, we had a lot of vampire attacks. There's people that think anything that's not an RH token that anyone in the community produces. I mean, because like RG3's caught all kinds of hell, Kinetics has caught all kinds of hell. That movie wouldn't have got made without those guys. And RG3 is traveling around the world now, like promoting, Pulse for the Pulse Chain tour. And there's always going to be, people on the sidelines, the peanut gallery, that are going to cast aspersions on people that are actually out there doing things. Now, obviously,
the man in the arena.
Yeah, right. And I mean that's the thing that always pissed me off, because it's like I got a few little scuffles in my life, and the thing that made me madder than anything was never the guy that I was fighting. It was the people that would be kind of like bouncing around the outside, agging it on. Right. And I was a little guy. So like, I held my own pretty good most of the time. I got sucker punched once and lost a few teeth, but that's a different story for another time. But even then, it's like there were people agging it on because they thought, the little guy's going to get mopped, and they would just stir the shit. And that's the kind of stuff that just gets under my skin on a very, 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 very visceral level. When I see that, especially if it's uneducated, right? It's like, I mean, it's on the blockchain. You could read those posts, you could ask questions instead of just immediately jumping to the conclusion that I've lost all respect. I mean, I read some of those comments and then I just stopped because it was just making me kind of sick, because it was just like, what? It's like, seriously, it's like, this is, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, like to zoom out a little bit and look at the political situation and what just happened with Trump. This is kind of the world we live in. It's like people go nuts with,
let me point out another thing I was going to say earlier is, you've got people who can't read the blockchain, and you should take my course for free, so that you're not misleading tens of thousands of people and you can verify things for yourself. Second, you have people out there that they think they're the next Zach XBT, and they actually do know how to read the blockchain, but they don't understand game theory. And so they make all the wrong assumptions. Toby, you understood everything immediately. It's like, I've never sold a Maddie token. It's like
pretty concise to me. I mean, it was a long thread, but it's like, I've got a relatively decent attention span, I guess. And I've been around it long enough to maybe understand what it meant without having to pour through it. But also, I mean, it's like I'm a pretty accomplished person. I retired at 50, not because of my crypto holdings, because I worked my ass off and I was pretty fucking smart. I negotiated several multi-million-dollar deals in my lifetime. I know some stuff, and it's, dude, it just chafes me so hard when people don't try to learn, and they act like, the most dangerous. My dad used to tell me, one of our businesses was a trucking company, and we would have guys that would want to move up in the ranks and get their CDL. And I remember once he told me, he was like, nah, he goes, that guy's too anxious for it. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, nah, he goes, he wants it too bad. I'm like, well, isn't that good? It's like you want someone that wants it, right? And he goes, no. He goes, yes and no. He said, because if you have someone that has more confidence than competence, that is dangerous, and that gets people killed. And he goes, that guy wants to be in that big truck more than he wants to be in it the right way. And I'm like, and it, like, the light bulb went off for me, and that's always stuck with me. And, and so that's the thing. It's like, and I would, and even sometimes in high level meetings, I would say to people, and, I would get some people that would look at me a little funny, or maybe I'd get a chuckle out of it. And I would say straight up, I'm like, could we go back over that last part again and talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old? Because I really want to understand. I don't want to sit here and act like I understand. So that's the thing. It's like, very easily people could have asked intelligent, pointed questions after that Sami tweet, but no, it was straight pitchforks and torches, and it's a shame. It's a shame, because it's like, what else are they missing on? There were
a lot of ugly things said, and like, if people did think that the Maddie token was designed to be like a benevolent situation, then it makes you wonder. I would say it gives you insights into like Richard's psychology, things that I never would have realized. but it also makes you wonder, like, like if you're not entitled to anything, like, why the vitriol? Why would you shit on the person who's like not getting anything out of this, right? Like, and so that's such an interesting thing to me. But I actually, so the reason I made the cool thumbnail there is because this is actually the third time that people have said that the Maddie token died, which reminds me of the Bitcoin obituaries. For example, Bitcoin was pronounced dead by the idiot legacy media 11 times in 2020. But Bitcoin isn't dead. Maddie token isn't dead. The liquidity being lowered does not equal rug pull. It equals like strategic, like strategic positioning. And if you don't get it, then you should read, or you should look on chain. And so I also broke down in a recent tweet this idea that I call like the trader scum gaslighters. Okay. And these are people who are pretending that them owning a token entitles them to the LP. Like it's an options contract on the price going up, but they don't have to pay a premium or a funding rate or anything. So it's like, another way to think of their delusion is that they think they can pay for a burger, eat it, and then try to open up the cash register and take their money back. In reality, when you swap for a token, you take a risk and you get to sell higher later or sell lower later or keep holding. When you trade, you don't get to keep both sides of the trade. Lol. And so I mean, I don't care if that sounds harsh, because there's this like short-term trader psychology that's infiltrated, kind of like our long-term delayed gratification community. And, traders are welcome, but they don't get to like, call everybody a scammer who's, just doing sensible game theory things. And so it's like the reason why we don't call everybody a scammer who doesn't reward the most impulsive person in the room is because the real scammers like Pulse Latina that lied to you and then stole your money without your permission, it wasn't a trade that you did, it was a theft and a fraud that happened, that loses all meaning. If, the guy who didn't reward the shortest term traders with his money is, now the bad guy or something. So when we look on chain, another thing we see is that like the short-term traders are the ones who profited the most from Maddie token so far. And what that means is that the people who FOMO'd in and couldn't wait one day to buy lower or couldn't wait 3 days in, that those people, the impatient buyers, gave their money to the impatient sellers. Okay. And so anybody who's like boo-hooing about Maddie token, like you should be boo-hooing to the traders that took your money. But then again, it wasn't your money, right? And so we have to have this boundary setting about like whose money is whose, right? So when you swap for something, you are giving up the right to what you once had, and you're able to benefit then from what you have now, God willing. And so, when I look at all the people who are spitting vitriol today on Twitter, almost none of them I followed, and many of them were promoting their own things that don't have liquidity or like don't don't seem to have a future or a community or have anything to do with anything. So it's like
That's a good point there, Maddie, too, because it's like that's one of the things that makes the crypto space in particular. I mean, it's eerily reminiscent. Like we had a small family-owned business, did quite well for decades. Actually, a few different businesses, but we were bumping up against like the corporate big guys a lot, and it's eerily reminiscent of what I saw in corporate America, especially. Most small businesses that we were competing with or ran into were kind of like us. They were honest, like salt of the earth people that would look you in the eye and shake your hand and stand by what they said. One of the valuable lessons I learned with dealing with a corporate situation was it's not about what's right, it's about what's in writing. And I mean, the guy straight told me that. Like, he knew he was fucking me, and he was like, it's not in writing. Oopsie, more or less. And I'm like, wow, it's like, that is some cold-blooded shit right there. And it wasn't even for a large amount of money, but it's like, that's how they play. And it's eerily reminiscent of what I see in the crypto space, because it's like, I want to trust people. I start off maybe too trusting of people. But, you got to be extra careful and extra skeptical in crypto, because it's like, what's the other hand doing? They're showing you this one, but like, is this one like around back, like picking your pocket, or like setting you up for something else? So, I mean, I think that's the thing that's frustrating, because I've seen this with people that were critical of Richard Hart. I mean, like another big kerfuffle, if we're going to go down the TMZ rabbit hole now, is I've seen a lot of blowback on Tangang recently. And and people, several accounts coming at him really hard, and coming at Sami too, because he talks about some of their tokens, about how aggressive and hateful they've been toward Richard. And and then it begs the question, like, well, why is that? Because it's like, well, they're trying to get you to invest in their thing instead of his thing. And so it's not complicated. And they can spin it every which way, that the cabal those are the bad guys, we're the good guys, right? We're the cypherpunks, so you should come and follow what we're doing. And it's like, really? Because it's like, all those mad gains that you see, that the Tang Gang has talked about, they came from somebody, and those aren't something like T-shares and Hex, where there's trustless yield being earned for delaying gratification. This is the result of trading. So for every dollar you made, somebody else lost it. I mean, that money doesn't come out of thin air, So so it's really funny how people can like try to take the moral high ground, when in actuality those are the ones you should be looking at maybe a little more closely. And last little point.
That's what I found.
To drive that home is, another lesson I learned is if you see, I'm a Christian, I go to church, I have tremendous respect for, religion and people's choices in that regard. But if I ever have another contractor that hands me a business card and it has a cross on it, or they pull into my, development or my property with a cross on the side of their truck, I will not hire that guy. Because it seems to me like more often than not, the people that are really putting it out there are the ones that are gonna not do it right. It's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. So
you're talking about like a wolf in sheep's clothing type of situation, right?
Yeah, totally.
Not somebody who's just like, because like I know a lot of people who just they show their belief in God, and they're great people.
Yeah, and they align with it, right?
But
I've just had a couple experiences where it's like they put it like as part of like their business logo, even, and then it's like they're crooked as the day is long, and it's just like, so it's like, just because they have it out front doesn't mean that they're really,
because their business isn't. Okay,
trust but verify.
I think I get it.
Trust but verify.
And so so I guess like the final point that I made here on Twitter for the people who only follow on YouTube is okay, here we go. So, oh, hey, what's up, True Blue? Great to see you there. So as noted in a previous tweet, there's an ink farm spitting out $65,000, or wait, maybe it's supposed to be 55,000. I don't know. Verify the number yourself on chain, but some large amount of ink per year at $2.25. That farmer may have a history of providing LP to Matty token when the LP was way too high. So people can draw any conclusion they want from that and go back to the other tweet that I made that said Matty token update. So that's the news there, that Matty token's not dead. Bitcoin isn't dead. Lowering the liquidity does not equal rug pull, does not equal scam. And if you lost money, you might wonder if it's, buying on day one, or if it's the traders who were pump and dumping in the first place that, that got away with quote unquote your money, which is not your money because you took a risk and you could have gotten a reward. And, that's kind of an important point to understand when we're looking at the game theory of like all this stuff. So, Toby, there's kind of switching gears here. There is another topic I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
I made a post a couple of days ago about, we had the 2-year anniversary of the first Pulse Chain conference, which was July 14th, 2022. And that was also the 3-year SAC anniversary of the first Pulse Chain. The first data sacrifice for Pulse Chain was July 14th, 2021, by my recollection.
Correct.
So that is encouraging to see so many people stuck around.
So, wait, are we going to do another? Are you going to have Oh, it's now. Never mind.
We already did our third Pulse Chain conference for this year. What was that? That was on the that was on the anniversary of the chain launching in May, and that'll be like the yearly time frame for that. And so it's kind of nice that we have like a yearly time frame for the Hex conference that happens every year, January 6th through 9th, and then about 5.5 months later, you get the Pulse Chain conference. So they're kind of like equally balanced throughout the year, So if all the whales and Poseidons want to like pump the chain twice a year or more, they can go right ahead and everything like that. I also wanted to share this this post that I made where I had organized the information of all the different people who do like weekly shows, daily shows, and create content for Pulse Chain, because when I create this getting started with Pulse Chain guide, it's like a handout that people will get along with their physical Pulse Chain coin wallet from Amazon. I'm putting in the booklet a section about the community and about all the people that you can find if you want to become part of the Pulse Chain community. And so I made a huge list here of all the people who make daily shows. Your friend Sami, Crypto7, Corey Geary, Hex Token. And I really want people to let me know if I missed any weekly or daily streamers or anybody who you think should be on here.
Me?
I saw
I'm on here every friggin' week. What the hell, bro?
Whoa, we got our special paragraph here. And but I saw True Blue here in the comments, and that's what made me think of this, because he's part of the weekly shows that are featured here, DeFi Down Under, and then we got What the Hex that's here. We got Dollar Cost Crypto, ChrispyMan, Hexfire.io. We got Discourse Syndicate. We got RH Max and Adam Stokes. And then let's see. I added a couple more after I posted this tweet. So, but we got Crypto Coffee, Richard Hart, Hexologist, Wild SJ, Fashion Coder, KSB TV, Funding Gym, Crypto Class, Pep Reloaded, Westcott Crypto, Money Gang Crypto, Hexy Bastard. We got KDP and Hans. We got so many people here. So yeah, I said Crypto 7 up earlier. So yeah, and then as a backup, I put the Pulse Tube on here as a link as well. And then we got Toby was a part of the highestofstakes.com 2023 is one of the Hex and Pulse Chain related documentaries. Then there's the website for the hexdocumentary.com 2022 miniseries. And then the lowestofstakes.com is the 2024 mockumentary. So we've been averaging like one documentary a year,
right?
For the past 3 years.
And be ready, because I am 98% certain there will be a film crew in New York from Muse Storytelling, who did Highest of Stakes, to capture some footage. So not 100%, but very close to 100% certain that there will be a film crew there to capture some of that historical day.
Yeah,
did
that's exciting.
Did Crypto7 get his channel back?
I don't think he did. He started a new one. I made a post about it here, and somebody's saying in the chat. So,
I mean, I know we had our little beef or whatever, but I mean, that sucks.
Quick.
It's like he's grinding, he's putting his time in. We don't always agree on everything, and obviously he hates me.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I hope he gets his channel back, because I know he's put a lot of effort into that, and that would be terrible to have that happen. But it seems like a lot of times people do get their channels back. It just takes a minute.
Yeah.
The one I can think of that was pretty big that never got it back was Hexo, and he had to start over.
Yeah.
But he rebuilt pretty quickly.
So Crypto 7, I posted to try to tell the YouTube creators on Twitter to give him his channel back, and they haven't yet. I just checked, but here I'm going to share his new channel, which has already gotten 490 subscribers. I tune into Crypto 7 daily for his streams. He makes daily Hex and Pulse Chain content. So I'm sharing the link to his YouTube now, which is for the auditory listeners, it's youtube.com/@crypto spelled out 7 and then the number 777. So it's KRYPTOSEVEN number 777. There you go. And shout out to the Sending Man DGen Roundtable. I also added you guys, the DGen Roundtable, to the list of content creators that'll be printed on the physical coin insert. That's got an initial minting of 1,000 tokens or 1,000 coins. So
I see a guy from DGen Roundtable. He's like, I bought some Maddie today.
Yeah.
Right on. So I wonder what's
the Ascending Man
charts doing. Oh, yeah. It's up to 282.
Oh shit.
So it's pumping. So thanks, Zombie, for the bad news, I guess, right? It's like now people are paying attention.
Well,
I don't know,
I just did that since we started streaming here, so somebody must have
well, that's on the daily. What's it on the
somebody's trying to become a shark or a whale or something.
Yeah, that's been in the last hour. That candle. Yeah, it went from $180 to $280. Crazy.
Yeah, so that's game theory, right? Like that's
the
whole point that we're trying to make here is if you buy red candles and sell green candles, that works for people. If you buy and hold long term because you have a reason to, then that works too.
Yeah, the volume is on the daily. The volume on the daily is $300. So it's like, and it pumped what? How much? What percentage? But yeah, there's a case in point right there. The volume was $300 and it pumped. Where's the I can't find the measurement tool.
Well, the LP is pretty like spread out now too. So it's
pump.
Yeah. So the volume doesn't show up on all the pairs because it gets distributed by the aggregators. Right. But yeah, in general, it that's one thing I've noticed that makes it a little bit harder to understand like the flow unless you're looking at least the top two pairs which are Wrapped Pulse and PulseX. But you've got I got Nick Slayman. Oh, go ahead.
I remember like before you ever came up with actually, taking control of the Matty tokens that Gary created and doing something with it, that me and you and Crispy were talking about it, and it had pumped crazy because the liquidity was so low. It was like $10 or something. And
yeah,
it had done like a 12x or something insane.
Oh, it was up to I think it was up to $1,200.
$1,200
from 10, or no, from $1 back when the liquidity was low, and and then since then, or actually, what I was going to say is that when Gary had created these other 29 Pulse Chain personality tokens, the one that mooned the hardest was the Sami token.
Oh, right.
And so that's interesting history too. So I think that one got up to like $5,000 from $1. So that further helps. Right. It further helps people understand that like starting with high liquidity is good, because people are going to FOMO by day one, and you don't want them to wreck themselves as bad as they would have, right? And that's what happened with, like, that's partially what I believe happened with Hex, was that, part of the reason it went down 100x is because it went up 10,000x. And so if it had only gone up 1,000x, then everybody would have still been happy, but you wouldn't have had so many people get wrecked or wrecked as hard. Because people will wreck themselves one way or another sometimes. But yeah, this is very much what I hope everybody gets out of the Matty token. Whether you participate or not, I want you to learn about crypto.
Right. That's kind of the point, right?
But by hearing these real world examples and having a way to prove the game theory and prove the points that we talk about on the show. So, that's perfect example right there.
Yeah, it's wild. And it just, it still just makes me chuckle a bit, because it's like the whole idea behind Game Theory Gang, the whole idea behind any of us that are out here trying to educate, whether we're talking about T-shares, whether we're talking about building staking ladders, whether we're talking about, you name it. Like, there's so many different nuances to all of it. The buy and burn with PulseX. We could go on and on. The whole idea behind it is for people to learn and understand the things a little better, so they're better equipped to invest more intelligently, right? And then you have someone who actually is the creator of a show called the Game Theory Gang, showing you in real time with a token project that he is navigating, how these things play out. And it's like, and people are missing it because they're too quick to want to like find a villain or someone to blame. I don't know anybody that's been wrecked on Matty token. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there were some people that bought when it got up to like $10 or something are probably not happy.
But who wrecked them?
Right. Themselves. I mean, that's been my argument forever with all stuff, is like, no one's making you push a button, bro. It's like nobody's making you connect to these things that end up being, a rug, or just an outright scam, like the Pulse Latina thing, or like the Beats thing, whatever that was. I remember Sammy had got wrecked on that. Like, nobody made her push that button. She got greedy and it looked attractive to her, and she didn't do her due diligence, and there it played out. Ta-da. So it's like, not financial advice. Do your own, and like when we say do your own research, it gets a little, it's kind of, I just feel like we say it so much, it's like just too much almost. But it's like, we are not, we aren't research. You can't count us talking about stuff as your research. We are planting seeds for you to then go.
It's our research that we're telling you.
Yeah, we're telling you about the research.
You have to do your own. And part of doing your own research is to verify stuff for yourself on chain, and to think critically for yourself, to reach your own conclusions so that you can take responsibility when you make a good trade or a bad trade, or when you hold long term, etc. And
Yep.
that's part of the foundation of what the Hex community was built on. And this idea that traders lose, people who are long term, especially in crypto, can win when they save themselves from themselves, when they when they can sit on their hands long enough. And it just really comes to a head when you see all of the noise and kind of the and I get it, like people are down bad, and so it sucks, but yeah, you just have to remember what's true and what's not. Like, if it's even to be able to separate what's your money and what somebody else's money is, that's a very basic thing that people are doing very, very poorly at. And there's a difference between like, oh, I have no expectations of RH, but I understand the game theory of what could happen if a Bitcoin whale, Ethereum whale, or anyone, right? It only took one God whale to pump the shit out of Hex. And from the number of T-shares that he accumulated, like, we know that he has more T-shares than the OA now. So like, that is part of what made Hex do a 10,000x was one guy. Then you had the OA that was like probably matching, very similar to like what the God whale was putting in, and like that became a competition between those two that benefited everybody. And so when I go to the Bitcoin conference, and when I think about the game theory of Hex and Pulse Chain and Ink and PulseX, all these things, like, I'm not pretending like other people's money is my money, but I'm aware of what the game mechanics are, and I'm aware of like what happens when a whale wants to make a splash, when a whale wants to accumulate a position, and when a whale acting benevolently, like enters a position not wanting to exit immediately.
Hey, Sami replied to my reply, looks like shortly after, and it says that he made a video about the post and he goes into more detail. So we'll have to give that a look and see if he clarified a bit. But kudos to Sami. He got the he got the attention.
Well, yeah,
and the price is pumping, so I guess maybe it's a win for everybody. I don't know. I don't know, but but it's yep.
Maybe at some point we need to do a crash course on a Tuesday night about how to do chain analysis or something like that, because I think it's just it's a skill that I know 350 people gained because they click the buttons to participate in the free course I have. And
right.
So I think that the more people, the better that we have, again, because that harkens back to what is crypto. Crypto is your keys, your coins. Crypto is a verified, don't just trust. And Toby, I put like a Latin saying on the physical Pulse Chain coin that is going to be coming out soon. I don't want to spoil it yet, but it's a banger, man. It's like it gets at this idea of wanting to verify and have evidence based things, and that's what crypto is, that's what Pulse Chain is, and that's kind of what we stand for. And I think it's gonna slap really hard with this community of people who are collectors. They want an easy way to onboard people into Pulse Chain. They like the idea of having an aha moment when you have a physical coin that literally has digital value on it. So yeah, I'm pumped for the learning to never stop in DeFi. And but I pray that our audience will be able to keep up with the the evidence that we're presenting. And I think they can.
Yep. Well, it's just, I mean, you just have to apply yourself. You know, it's like that's the thing. It's life's easier if you put a little effort into it, and you end up being less upset about things, I find, if you kind of understand. Oh God, that's hilarious. Now it's for $3. Yeah, that's hilarious. Go, Maddie, go. Yeah.
Yeah. So this doesn't benefit me, you know, like in maybe in the short term or whatever. But
I mean, it's proven the point of.
But it's proving the point.
Like lower liquidity, it's easier for something to pump. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, if all that other liquidity had been there, still, these, you know, what is it, $620 now in volume has come in on the daily. So it would have done what, like, not even broke $2.
Yeah, and what's notable is that the person who just acquired close to a whale position would have been able to do so without pushing the price. And so again, like, I saw one person who posted who probably from their post had a whale position, and they were complaining that they couldn't market sell now. And it's like, well, if you knew what a limit order was, and the person was even saying, oh, I don't want to sell, but I'm mad that I can't now. And it's like, well, again, you can't have it your way to where, you know, you get to eat the burger and then rob the cash register. You know, it's like,
right.
And so at sometimes it just, you know, you need the market to be made. At other times you need the liquidity to be lower. It doesn't make it a rug pull. And, but it shows these dynamics of, you know, what if the God whale had gotten into Hex and not pushed the price against himself? Right? What would have happened? Well, we wouldn't have gotten a 10,000X. And then you could argue, well, maybe that was, you know, maybe that would have been a good thing, because then we would have only done 1,000X. But maybe you would have only gotten 100X or a 10X, and maybe the OA wouldn't have matched it. And, you know, there are all these complex variables to consider. And at the end of the day, it's the people who take the risk to make the market who are the ones who get to call the shots with the liquidity. And again, having low liquidity means that Maddie tokens are rarer. And so that is an important dynamic to appreciate. So not telling you to buy, not telling you to sell, not telling you anything. No expectations, right? It's right. I don't work for you, and do your own research. There you go.
Yep. I concur. Yeah, I'm anxious to listen to Sami's video, but we've got a little ways to go yet. I do have to stop no later than 10:30 though. That's my hard. I got a hard.
Okay, yeah, that's 20 minutes away. Well, and I was also thinking we might do a shorter show tonight because we're missing half of our crew due to vacations and whatnot. So
I know I thought Briz normally talks an hour by himself, so it's like
I don't know, but he would bring lots of cool news stories. Yeah,
Briz is great, man. He's got a
great legacy.
Yeah, Briz is good stuff. I saw him in the chat earlier. I'm like, get in here, and then I didn't see him in the chat anymore, so I must have scared him off. So I'm not sure what his conflict was this evening, but he sure came into the chat for a minute. So damn you, Briz. I guess we'll see you next week. I'm should be able to be here next week. It depends on how my Wi-Fi is where I'm at. So I'm gonna do my best to be here next week.
And I also I made an invitation to a couple of people that we've had on the show, you know, a long time in the past, that I've wanted to get on for a while. One of whom is Kareem. He didn't see the message yet, so he must be living his best life. But I'm hoping we could get him on the show one of these Tuesday nights when ChrispyMan is out of town and everything. Crispy's actually he's well, he's on a family trip, but he might end up meeting up with Papa B out in Hawaii now, is where Papa B is. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Are there any other news stories or any other points that you wanted to get to tonight?
Not really. Like I was saying earlier, it's like, you know, at the top of the show, it's like I've been kind of out of the loop on everything. I've just been kind of immersed in personal things all week, and haven't really been spending a lot of time on socials or even watching as much YouTube content as I normally would. So I'm a little behind. And then of course the Trump thing, you know, I mean that absorbed a lot of my attention that I had for things. But it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. I mean, I'm really excited that you're going to be able to see him in Nashville. Is it in in 2 weeks? So that'll be awesome.
So that'll be a week from this
I would
Thursday.
come down for that, but I can't. I'm going to be out of pocket.
Yeah. Well, I hope you'll enjoy your vacation. Yes. I know that. So there will be. I'm so excited for this. There will be a highest of stakes booth at the Bitcoin conference. Nice. Big Kurkowski paid out of pocket, I believe, big bucks to get this.
Sweet.
And
that's cool.
The person who was going to work the booth had dropped out, and so we got Fashion Coder to cover last minute. So she'll be flying in.
She's awesome.
To Nashville to work the booth. And so anybody who's going to be going to the Bitcoin conference in Nashville next week, that we're going to have a crew there, and it'll be great to stop by the booth for the highest of stakes. And we're not doing tons of events that are just internally focused on our community, because we want to branch out and meet people, meet all the whales outside of our community. But there will be one event that Big Kurkowski is hosting, and you might find out the details for that by going to the highest of stakes booth the first day of the general conference on Friday to find out where that is.
What are the dates of the conference again?
It is July 25th to 27th.
Yeah.
The 25th is Industry Day. The 26th and 27th, Friday and Saturday, those are the general admission days of the conference.
Nice. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, if I was available, I'd totally be all over that. Tell Big K to take some of those fucking box sets down there and sell them.
Hey.
The sales on those have kind of shriveled away. So plenty of box sets still available for those that might be interested. Get them while they're hot, right?
Well, and we also... I'm looking at my little clock that shows the price. The prices were down last week. What was that, Wednesday or Thursday or something? I mean, I was digging in the couches for money to buy that dip. And but we bounced back here in the last 3 or 4 days. Do you have any comments on the price action?
Dude, I'm happy as can be, because it's like and obviously this is like not financial advice at all. I always feel like I need to over explain this type of maneuver, but it's like, to borrow money to invest in anything is just typically a bad idea, right?
Right.
I'm in the unique position to have a very favorable rate. I am able to afford the payment on this particular loan indefinitely without having to sell any crypto to do so. So that's what made me think like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take out this loan. And it happened to hit right before we started going back up. So it was like perfect timing. So I was
I
was able to get
Congrats,
that wired in. And I didn't, it's one of those deals too, where it's like, you always wish you had thrown in more, like, at the lows. But, because I didn't want to be completely tapped out of dry powder, I do have some USDC or what's the other, Ethereum sitting on standby, in case we dip again. But we'll see, man. I mean, as far Thursday is going to be fun. We're going to have Axis Alive, I believe, with us on What the Hex.
Cool.
So it's going to be him showing how juvenile and sophomoric my TA is compared to what he does with charts. So it'll be fun to see like how my overly simplified version, how accurate it is compared to all the other bells and whistles that he uses. So that should be a fun conversation. But just like I took a peek at the charts right before he hopped on, and everything's breaking out. Like the patterns that I had, like everything's breaking out. So it's looks really, really good. If we can find some support, most things are trying to get above the 21 EMA. If I was looking at that right, the PulseX, yeah, PulseX is actually already above the 21 EMA. Hex is above the 21 EMA and finding support on the channel that it had fallen out of. So we're trying to work our way back up to the 55 EMA. And then I think the upside, the top of that channel is going to push it about 0065. So another 20% move or so from here if we continue on that trend. But huge reversal. You know, PulseX similarly, we've actually broken out of its channel to the upside. Full move on that one would get us up to 4028. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting because it's like I got the saying from Crown, Eric Crown Crypto Cave, the trend is your friend. You know, you typically don't want to trade against the trend, and the trend for a long time has been just steadily down and to the right. But this does look like a trend reversal. You know, fingers crossed that we can hold and maybe create a new floor and continue to work our way up. I was expecting us to roll over and maybe bottom sometime in September, and then get a run up to the hearing in October. And then depending on how that news goes, you know, do we have a little sell the news event and then run from there? But you know, my crystal ball is saying that, you know, we should get a good run up through the end of the year. And then depending on how the outcome of the case is, we could just keep on going. So it's one of those deals where it's like, you know, you don't want to be on the sidelines in those pivotal days, because I know we've talked about this a ton before, like in the history of Bitcoin, it's something absurd, like 15 days or something.
Yeah.
Like if there are like 15 days in the lifetime of Bitcoin that you were not in, you miss like 90% of the moves. You know, so it's something absurd.
Something
like that,
extremely disproportionate, and
it's nuts.
And yeah. Well, here's something interesting. So the dip catcher algorithm, which is like a private NFT based like a tokenomics thing, I saw dip catcher post in the past couple of days that that the algorithm, which has I must say, like, it caught a lot of dips really well. He says that it signaled buy on the PLS chart, when in another post he said that it signaled sell on the ETH chart. What's your take on that discrepancy?
Interesting. I don't know. He's got me blocked, so it's like another one that I've conflicted with, and it's like, I don't see his stuff.
I forgot.
I'd have to look because I own that thing, the DCA.
Dude.
Algorithm. Yep.
Well, and then there was a post below here.
If you want it, Maddie, part of the deal is you got two of them, one to give to a friend. So, like, if you want, I can send you one of the DCA NFTs, and then basically you have to get a hold of him, and then you can have the indicator to add to your trading view.
Well, he who shall not be named, oops, I just
good texture.
Was offering $10,000 for it. So I would understand if you wanted to sell it to him instead, even though I don't like him.
What?
But I'll send you the tweet where he was offering somebody
that's
that.
Silly. Yeah, if he wants it, I'll just send it to him. If you're not going to use it, I offered it to you first. So.
No, I'll take it. Yeah, I want it.
All right, you got it. Yeah. I just got to figure out where it's at.
Nice.
But
yeah, because I've always wondered about that, and it's kind of cool that Dipcatcher made this like interesting tokenomics where you like buy his token, and then you have to burn it a certain amount in order to get the NFT, and then the NFT unlocks like the ability to see this trading algorithm that.
Oh yeah, he did great with that.
Does a great job.
It was like just the initial push on that. It's like I think he made over like 50 grand selling those. But,
wow.
But yeah, but it's
good for him.
It is quite accurate. I must say. However, it's tricky because there's different settings. I mean, you'll see when I give it to you like that you can play around with. So I mean, there's. You know, if you're looking at it retroactively, you can adjust the settings to where it looks like it just nails it every time. But you'll have you'll have like lots of buy signals, and then you'll have a little sell signal, and then you'll have lots of buy signals. So it's like, well, if I grab the buy signal up here, then I didn't catch the bottom because it was telling me to buy again down here. So it's like, how accurate was it? You know, so it depends on the tolerances that you set for it. So you kind of got to play around with it. So, and then for some reason on the EHEX chart, because I haven't turned on that indicator in a long while, it stopped working in April. But you know, he doesn't talk to me, so I'm not going to be able to figure out why. But I'll have to plug it into some other charts now that a lot of the pulse chain stuff is available on TradingView and look at it. But as far as to your original question, as far as like why it would be a buy on the pairing for, what was it, Pulse and DAI, and then the other was Pulse and ETH. Were those the two that were showing opposite signals?
Let's see. Yeah, it was Pulse and DAI, and then it was a separate tweet where I saw that he had put that part about. So I connected the dots, although I'm not sure that anybody specifically did on Twitter, and but that's got to have a cool story behind it, right? Of like why you would see with such correlated assets with well, sometimes it's correlated, I guess, sometimes it's not, but there's this divergence in the dip catcher algorithm signaling buy for Pulse and signaling sell for ETH, and there you go.
Interesting.
We got our friend stopping by here. Sami says, loving the show, fellas. Thanks for all you do. Looking forward to quarter 3 and quarter 4 for the Pulse Chain community. Hopefully the Russell 2000 follows through for all of us, PLS and Hex in the ground floor zone. And I appreciate you as well. And thanks for saying that. There we go. Let's go, folks. And then, somebody is asking here, don't trust anybody, grifters everywhere. Why would you start your own coin if Hex made you rich? I did not start Maddie token. I brought it back from the dead. And I time locked all my money when Hex made me rich because I saw what Sun Well syndrome was doing to some of the people around me, and it frankly scared the shit out of me. And so, that's a perspective I didn't expect to have so quickly in crypto because when I started in crypto, I put my life savings in Bitcoin. I rotated, a small fraction. We're talking, and I was working a low paying job, working in a therapy clinic that was, working with people who are living in poverty, and I wanted to help that population. So I took a lower paying job. And so I only rotated a fraction of my down bad holdings in Bitcoin into Hex. And but by the time, Hex did its full run, I had already rotated fully into what I believe in. And to this day, I hold like a very small amount of Bitcoin that's like locked on a physical coin. So, I still recommend like Hex, Pulse Chain, PulseX Inc. Maddie token is an experiment that, has apparently taught people a lot. And you don't have to buy it or participate financially in order to learn from it. So that's what this show has always done, is taught people information that they might find helpful in doing their own research and thinking critically for themselves about what they will do in crypto as an exciting field. And you can see our excitement, you can see our pain, because we're here every single week live for years.
That's years. That's the truth.
Years.
We're trying, people. Yeah, so it's like it's true. There are grifters everywhere, and you got to be careful, and you got to do your own research, and you got to decide what it is that you want to click the buy button on and what you don't. What you want to sacrifice for, what you don't. It's ultimately it's an individual's choice as to what they want to support and what they're curious about. So Yeah, I mean that's just the nature of the game. And then I've once again, it's like I've got my ideas of what I think might be happening with the Maddie token thing as time moves forward, but it would just be total speculation, and so it doesn't. I don't want to just toss that out there because I don't want to guess wrong.
Yeah, and
but it's like but I have a feeling
yeah.
like the experiment isn't over, and I think that there's going to be more lessons to be had, and yeah, I mean, and it's something that, I mean, you could already participate by getting a free Maddie token by responding to a post a while back too, right? Wasn't there something like that?
It was like the smallest unit of a Maddie, which is 1/quintillionth of a token that was sent out to a few hundred people, and was thought that more could be sent out because more people ended up participating with an address. Yeah, that's all something that is it's hard to talk about because you don't want to give people expectations.
Right.
And so you can go to my posts and you can read what I said, and I can quote the things that I've said publicly. And that's what Toby's going off of when he says that he thinks that people can participate without spending anything.
Right.
That's also a cool thing that isn't a part of every product that's out there.
Correct.
Oh, and somebody's asking like, oh, okay, so check the LP, not 60K like you mentioned. It was 60K, and then it was reduced 3 days ago, and now it's 24K. But that was back when the price was $1.65, and I guess it jumped up to like $3 or something. So,
and
then
not 24K. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2,400, and which is 3%, just like the LP
laid it out, right?
Versus the circulating supply, which is the same ratio of LP to circulating supply as Hex. And then the people who are, people who are saying, oh, you're a scammer because you asked for money for an amicus brief, like, you could go F yourself, because that was literally all risk to me and no reward. So, like, whatever.
So somebody with a wrench yanked that guy already, which is good because it was you got him. Good job. Because it was a perfect example though of someone that obviously has not done the research, is speculating in a negative way around Maddie's participation in this ecosystem, and so that's the world we live in. There's a lot of people that just want to stay dumb, or like just cast aspersions or troll or be negative or whatever.
But the hate that we're getting is not from our community. It's not from the people who are thinking deeply, who are critically thinking. It's from people who are just angry that they're part of the group of people that thinks being angry is the coolest thing you can do online.
I just don't get it. It's like a soul vampire, I mean, it just sucks energy away from people that are actually trying to do things. Yeah. And it's just really frustrating, because it just seems like what a terrible way to live your life if like that's what you're throwing out into the universe about people, especially people that have proven themselves time and again to be good actors in the space. And have quite literally, through their efforts, contributed to probably pumping your bags. So, not only through our educational efforts, but through our own buying behavior. So and
time locking.
Look at my pinned tweet. Look at my pinned tweet. It's like that scene from Captain Phillips, I think is the movie with Tom Hanks, and it's like, I am the captain now, and there's like the Somali pirate. So a friend of mine changed that for me, and it says, I am the exit liquidity now. So that's my pinned tweet, because I've been exit liquidity for years, because I continue to buy. So, right. Yeah. So it's like, but there it is. I'm the exit liquidity. Look at me. I'm the exit liquidity. That's me, bro. And and then, you know, but still, the reason that we're here doing this is like, you know, I know that Maddie's not making money off these things he's done. Yeah, he got some. I know the expense of some of the events and stuff that he's put together and has been out of pocket on. And yeah, it's like he got some sponsors to help with to offset some of those expenses. It's like last I checked, we're in a free country. And you know,
after 3 years of doing conferences for free, I had 1 year paid of conferences
and all kinds of shit. And then
it's everything I stand by of products that I already talked about and already love. So, boom, there you go.
But you know, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, there's gonna be people like that all the time that are just gonna be the guys that are bouncing around the periphery and aren't really in the fight, you know. And they contribute no value. So it's just we've wasted enough energy on them, I think.
You have been really helpful, Toby, in cheering me up after all the haters, and you just like instantly understood the sensible parts of all this. So thank you for being such a good friend and
sure thing, bro.
Co-host regular on the show. And
so if anybody wants to send me some free Maddie tokens, you can buy them now. And you can send them to gofuckyourself.com because I don't take free anything.
Boom.
So yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for stepping up tonight, and wishing you the best on your vacation. And you'll still be on the show then? What the Hex?
Yeah, I'll be on this show Thursday. What the Hex for sure, unless something comes up that precludes that. Axis will be on there with us, and then hope to be able to be on next Tuesday with you guys.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, looking forward to it. And let me see, where can people find you?
Primarily here on Tuesday nights, and then occasionally I throw out really long, overly verbose tweets or posts on X at Tobiwan_Hexobi.
Awesome. And you can find all my links at mati.pls.fyi. Until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Oh, man. The haters. Haters gonna hate.
Cool thumbnail.
Yeah, right? That's funny.